Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. And what I want to talk about in this video is something to do with tactics, close protection tactics, if you want to call it that. It's about how to use ground. Now, if you've been in the military, especially infantry, whichever country, you should understand about fieldcraft, how to use ground, camouflage, concealment, movement, snap ambushes, etc, 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 working as a team. Well, I look upon the close protection tactics, when we apply tactics to close protection, when we're looking at ground, be it in urban, rural environments, is providing close protection services. The tactics are just a different type of warfare. Whereas you've got jungle warfare is different than Arctic warfare. Arctic warfare is different than European, etc, etc. So all we need to do is transfer those tactics over to generally urban environments and working as an individual, which is simple, individual tactics, or working in pairs or smaller teams. That is something which is, well, I'm going to touch on other videos, but that type of stuff is difficult to talk about in videos. You have to actually show it, do it, etc. So let me talk about, in this video, ground. So when I look at like the environment I'm in at the moment, and you should be looking at what's behind me to see the environment I'm in at the moment, I see cover, I see concealment, cover from fire, cover from view, etc. I see areas where I can blend in. If empty areas are areas where I can spot if people are watching me. Crowded areas are areas where I can lose people. Behind me, well, looking around places like bus stops and anywhere where people are congregating is where people could watch me from now. I'm observing the people. I'm observing where they're going. I'm observing their body language. Okay, so as I said just now, quiet areas are good for identifying if you or your client's under surveillance, because people will stand out. Busy areas, and I'll touch on this in another video, is good for losing people. You look behind me now, there's a bridge, right? Bridges are channels. By what I mean by channels, bridges are channels, escalators are channels. Certain routes and locations are channels. It's the only way in, it's the only way out. Now, if somebody's following me, and I think people are following me, all I have to do is walk across that bridge, and anybody's following me is going to have to follow me. If somebody's got a vehicle with them, that vehicle is going to have to cross over, wait for me somewhere on the other side, and again, pick me up on that side. So again, once I crossed over, I'd be looking for any vehicles that are parked up and all of a sudden goes mobile when I go mobile. So bridges and any type of channel, going upstairs, waiting at the top, is very good for spotting and drawing out anybody that's watching and following you. Basics, right? Simple shit. Sorry, simple stuff. I've been behaving on these videos because I've not been swearing too much, but sometimes the odd word slips out. Okay, now you got to think about as well, that ground could be used against you. If you're providing surveillance services, if you're watching somebody, if you're following somebody, you want to make sure they're not using the ground to their advantage. Like channels, like tunnels, etc. They're not channeling you into an environment where you can be ambushed. And it makes me laugh. A lot of surveillance guys don't think about their personal security. They're just doing surveillance, right? And I remember I was dealing with one guy in South Florida. He done some courses with me, and he said to me, not the brightest of people, but he said to me he didn't realize that surveillance could be dangerous. And this guy, and I'm being polite, was doing matrimonial surveillance in South Florida. You know what? Latins can be a little bit hot-headed, especially where relationships are concerned. So, you know what I said to him? You could be sat outside your target's house or on their road or following somebody. They get wise to you. They're going to walk up to you and just empty your AK, empty your Glock into your car, and that's it. Goodbye to you. So all surveillance is dangerous, especially when you're watching and following people. You know what? You could be ruining their lives, costing them a lot of money, losing them their business. So you have to be aware of your personal security. This is where understanding the ground and making sure you're not being drawn into an ambush somewhere where you're going to be attacked, beaten up, or wasted is very, very important. I'll throw this scenario out there. Area Min's pretty busy at the moment. You know what? I think if somebody jumped off that bridge now, people would call the cops, etc. But if you tried to jump off that bridge at 8, 9 o'clock at night, especially this time of year, there's nobody there. Nobody would see it. Right? And that's you jumping off the bridge. Imagine this now. You're following somebody and they got wise to the fact you're following them. All it takes is for them to arrange an ambush on this bridge. On the other side of the bridge, they got a couple of goons. You're following your target unaware that you've been made and unaware that you're possibly being watched and being followed. When you get halfway across that bridge and the two guys walking in the opposite direction, could be drunk, could be holding hands, could be guys in skirts, who knows these days, right? As soon as you get parallel with those guys could quite easily pick you up and dump you in that river. I think tasers are available here. If not, criminals can always get them. If they tasered you and make it even easier for them to pick you up, throw you over that rail and dump you in the river. You know what? I think that fall, yeah, the fall might not knock you out, but if you're in your clothes, especially this time of year, hitting that water is going to be a shock. If you're tased, you're even more screwed up. The river, there's a current, it's cold. You know what? Your chances of making it to the side are limited. The chances of being seen, especially at night, are limited. So most probably the first time anybody knew that you were missing would be when your calls are not answered, or when your body turns up how many miles downriver, if it ever turns up. So you see there, that's a simple scenario and it's easily done. No weapons, nothing sexy. You're unaware that if you're doing surveillance, you're unaware, you're being watched, you're unaware, you've been made. You can be lured into a simple ambush on a bridge or the like, picked up and dumped over the side. Goodbye. Fish food. So this is where learn to read ground, learn to understand ground, be it urban, be it rural, etc. To me, I've said in other videos, I find the urban environment, especially for surveillance, close protection, interesting. I don't get bored. Why? Because I'm constantly watching the ground, I'm constantly watching people, I'm constantly observing people's body language. I could do that all day. I've been doing it for too long now, over 30 years. So I'll say, think about what I'm saying here. If you have military experience, hopefully what I said about fieldcraft makes sense. If you don't have military experience, go read up on it. There's some stuff online, decent stuff. Stay away from the high-speed tactical stuff. You don't need it. Learn about concealment, camouflage, etc. Movement. And again, think about how that can apply to the urban world. Camouflage and concealment's the same. Understanding the cover's the same. It's just, for a lot of military guys, changing your mindset. But I hope this video has made you think a little bit. In the meantime, I've got a selection of books online, 3 to do specifically with close protection. There's various books out there on other aspects of the security business and personal security. We're throwing up a lot more videos to do with personal security, kidnap and ransom, close protection, etc. So follow us on social media, and again, I'm sure the videos, the books, and also the articles on the blogs will be able to answer a lot of your questions. In the meantime, be good, stay out of trouble, and if you're active, make sure you're not being set up at any point set up for a fall. I got a video out there on meetings, I believe. That's also relevant to this topic. Okay, take care, stay out of trouble, be good.